Hi, everyone. Welcome back to She Birds Podcast. Today's guest is Zachary Hagen. Hi, Zachary.
Hi. Thank you
Uh,
so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Zachary is a fantasy author and a teacher. So, Zach, when did you first realize you wanted to be an author?
Oh gosh. I have wanted to be a writer for as long as I can remember. The earliest book I can remember writing, it wasn't even really a book, it was a bunch of little pieces of paper stapled together, and it was about a dragon who gave flowers to children.
Oh, wow. Are you
Yeah,
there?
so
Oh,
ever since I was a
because
little
it's kind
kid.
of like frozen again. I don't know what's happening.
Oh gosh. I don't know. I mean, I have good internet. Maybe it just doesn't like this particular program.
so, um, so where do you get your ideas when you think of your stories?
So I get them from a lot of different places. I loved the C.S. Lewis's books, especially the Chronicles of Narnia. I read Christopher Paolini and Rick Riordan. So I some of those influences definitely made it in. I think for my most recent series, it was a combination of different things. Definitely C.S. Lewis. Um, some of some TV shows like the Avatar: The Last Airbender series,
Oh, yeah.
um, and The Secret Circle.
Oh, I haven't watched that yet, but I've watched the Airbender one, but I haven't
Mhm.
watched the other one. But that's cool. I also read some of C.S. Lewis. I think I read one of his books a long time ago. He's a Christian author, right? I
He
think.
is. I mean, he wasn't necessarily completely overt in the Chronicles of Narnia, but it definitely influenced um, how he wrote and how he interacted with his plot lines and characters.
So what does your family think about your writing?
My they're big supporters. My parents are super proud of me for getting books out. I tell them about the interviews that I have been doing, and they're excited about that. My wife loves that I'm doing this. She actually hasn't read the book yet. She keeps on saying, "I need to read it. I need to read it." She hasn't read it yet. And my grandmother loves YA fiction, and so she's one of my beta readers. So she helps me to actually polish the books.
Nice. That's awesome. Wow. Maybe one day you and your wife can like co-write a book together. Like,
That would certainly be interesting.
yeah, that would be. So, what inspired you to write Eternity? Well, your Chronicles books.
So it started out as a school assignment in college because I was taking advanced creative writing, mapping the publication maze, and I needed an idea, and I thought, well, I need to figure something out. So I spent like the whole summer before I knew I was going to take that, like brainstorming, and the initial story was very different.
Mhm.
Um, it was more magic system driven rather than character driven. I think now I've ended up with a character driven story. Um, but I started out with something very technical with a lot of rules and a lot of if this happens, then that. And initially, I was really looking at, Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Secret Circle as my main sources of inspiration for it.
Mhm.
But it evolved and changed as I integrated more of my own values rather than trying to copy other stories.
Oh, nice. Wow. So can you give our listeners like a brief summary of your book?
Sure. So Elior is a human, and his brother disappears in a magical research explosion. Nyx is a cursed merman who is desperate to get back to his home in Aquare, the kingdom of the mer people. and Opal has lost her father, and she has to take over the kingdom. She's a dwarf, and suddenly she's thrust onto this throne that some of her nobles don't think that she is ready for, and one of them feels the need to try to oust her. And so all three of those characters have this incredible loss that they're facing, and they team up with Michael Rex, a professor who helps them on their quest to find eternity as well, which is supposed to be the source of answers for all their problems.
Oh, nice. So somebody commented and they said hi. So and they have a question for you. They said, how do you build your characters for each story?
How do I build my characters for each story? I start out with a concept of what kind of story needs to be told. Elior is the main character of the series, and one of the themes for the series over all the books is this idea of coming to terms with difficulties and sorry, let me grab the dog. Coming to terms with difficulties and finding ways to care about things outside of ourselves.
Wow. That's cool. So we already talked about who are your favorite authors, and most of them inspired all of your novels that you write now. They inspired them.
Yeah, I think I've taken elements from all of them, things that I really loved and wanted to include. So he's gonna be here because pay attention. So yeah, I took things from all of them and I made it my own. I think that a lot of people will find the world of Luxterra, the setting for the Eternal Chronicles, both familiar and very different from what they've read in other fantasy series.
Oh, nice. So have you, within your books, are you going to go, with each of your characters, are you going to, have them have their own story, like that? You know how some people have sequels and then they, tell that story with one other person and do that? Have you ever thought about that, or?
I definitely want to explore the villain's backstory more. I feel like I could do a couple different prequels. One sort of an origin of the world, more in depth than the short story that I did for that, and one exploring sort of the villains and how they became a team and how they first sort of grew into this role that I have them in.
Oh, okay, nice. Wow, your interview is getting more people watching because people have questions. You have another question. Okay, awesome. They want to know if you could find out the creative process of one of your favorite authors, who would it be and why?
Oh gosh,
That's hard. That's hard.
I think if I could find out the creative writing process for Rick Riordan, I would absolutely love to do that because he's so prolific and he has so many books out. And I'm like, that is something that I would love to do. He has his main Percy Jackson series, and he has the Kane Chronicles, and the sequel to the Percy Jackson series, and the Norse series. And I think he just started an Indian, like a Hindu mythology based series, and he also has a series of mystery books before Percy Jackson kind of put him on the map, and he was a teacher before he started really focusing on writing, and so I would love to know what that was like for him.
Wow. Maybe try, I don't know about you, but I always take chances and I email people, and sometimes they'll come on, but I would email them and be like, hey, I am a I wouldn't say beginner author, but a new author, I guess, and ask him his creative process. He might answer.
It's possible.
Oh yeah. So Oh, they said awesome answer, and they said thank you.
Awesome. I'm so glad I could answer.
So, what was your hardest scene to write and why?
Oh gosh.
There it is.
The hardest scene actually was not in the first book. The hardest scene to write, I think, was in the second book, which is being edited now.
Oh.
And I found it difficult because it was a fight scene,
Mhm.
and I'm still not sure that it's 100% perfect. I'm really looking forward to what my editor says on it, because I feel like I don't have enough going on, and at the same time, I have too much going on, if that
Uh,
makes sense. Like, I'm not sure I've struck the balance between enough internal monologue to keep the emotional intensity going while simultaneously having enough physicality going on to make it interesting to read.
hmm.
So
Oh.
that's a balance that's hard to strike for me with action scenes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, what advice would you give to help other authors who want to pursue a writing career, like you?
Find a process that works for you. Some people can sit down and write and just have all of the ideas flowing, and other people need to have an outline or a plot of some kind to follow, because otherwise it just kind of dies.
That's true. That's really great advice. Um, Someone else has another question. Oh, it's the same person. Have you toyed with trying other genres in your writing, or is fantasy where you find your best creative flow?
I have um I've attempted other genres. This fantasy was the first one that I was able to really finish
Mhm.
a book with. And that may just be because I was more familiar with it. So maybe if I read more in other genres, I'd be able to write from it more effectively. I've
Mhm.
enjoyed a few Mary Higgins Clark books, and I attempted to write a murder mystery.
Oh.
Um, it is sitting somewhere on my hard drive, uh, collecting digital dust, and I don't know if I'll ever go back to it. But that is one thing that I love about being an indie author, is that I'm not pigeonholed into my first genre. If I gain a readership and they love reading my work, then I can try other things if the mood strikes.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I want to thank you so much, Zach, for coming on my podcast today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
You have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone. Thank you all so much for listening to my interview with Zachary. If you would like to purchase any of his books or see about his next book in his series or in his chronicles, then you can go on his website. I have linked it to this interview, so it's pretty easy to find. If you want to go on my website, it's on my website as well. I want to thank you all so much for listening, and have a great day and make great choices. Bye.